What's up, YouTube? It's the Action Figure Grader coming back to you with another video. I hope that everyone is doing well. Before I dig into this new acquisition, I want to do a couple of points. First, thank you to my Patreon supporters. Your support allows me to make more and better videos, so thank you so much. Second, I have a programming note. I am going to be appearing in a podcast. That's right. Collector Archive Services started a podcast called The Passion for Collecting. And I'm not sure exactly when it's going to be. It should be in the next couple of weeks when we film it. But it will be going up on their YouTube channel, a kind of a video version. They also have it available in podcast format on several different platforms. And I will put in the description for this video the links that will allow you to access their podcast. But it should be a really cool series. And the topic is going to be Power of the Force 2. So this video is appropriate. I just picked up a really cool first shot prototype right here, as you can see in the middle, of Weequay. And the podcast should be a lot of fun. We're going to go through some of the items in my collection, some of the rarities out there, maybe just some of the history for the Power of the Force 2 line, why it was much maligned and why it's becoming more and more collectible today, things like that. It should be a lot of fun. I'm not sure exactly when it's going to take place, but I promise you that we'll have a lot of fun doing it. It's going to be with Chris Whitlock and Anthony Spinicki over at Collector Archive Services. So be sure to check it out. One other programming note, I will be doing the giveaway drawing for the Vader VC-178 Vintage Collection Darth Vader Rogue One. That contest is now closed. I will be doing a video for that later this week. Now, back to the video. I picked up this awesome first shot prototype. I want to say thank you to Pete F. He's a very well-known collector on Facebook, and his collection is just unbelievable. He has literally everything from first shot prototypes for Power of the Force 2 to vintage Kenner. I mean, it's just an unbelievable collection he has. But this is what he sold me on Deal or No Deal, which I just talked about in my Facebook video. I'm linking a lot of different videos here as I talk about this, but Deal or No Deal is one of my favorite groups, and this was offered up by Pete for sale. He gave me a very fair price on it. This is a first shot prototype, so early kind of sample as they were testing out the mold for it. It is molded in 3 different colors. It's got kind of a beige color for, let's see if I can get it to focus better. I'm sorry. We got kind of a beige color for the limbs, the arms and legs. It's got a black torso, and then the head is a peach color. It's completely unpainted. Does not come with his accessories. I'll show you a little bit later on in this video another example that I found that sold fairly recently that was non-sonic welded with the accessories. So I'll put that in the video a little bit later. Now, this one does have the feet stamps, and I believe it's 1997. I may not be able to get it to focus. So you got Kenner China, and then this one says LFL 1997, I believe. It's hard to catch it in the light. There we go. 1997. So this is the 1997 date stamp. And as I talked about in my prototype video that came out a few weeks ago, I'll put the link for that one in the description. You can see the graphic there. But I talked about the different modern prototypes that are out there and the prices that vary, for them depending on what stage the prototype is in. This is a very late stage prototype because it already has the date stamps on the bottom of the feet. You can find other examples like I talked about with this Lack Zivrak where there is no date stamps on the bottom of the feet. It's just got some blank spots. So this was obviously an earlier example, and this one came with the first shot accessories. But as the engineers would finish up with kind of fine-tuning the figure and the mold and adding the date stamps, you would proceed towards a prototype like this that is fully assembled and fully sonic welded. So while it's not a later prototype, or excuse me, while it's not an earlier or a particularly rare prototype, I did want to get the Weequay because I have one of the tougher to find versions, or I should say one of the tougher to find Power of the Force 2 carded figures in the entire line, and that is the the freeze frame action slide US card of Weequay. For whatever reason, they did not make a ton of these, and as a result, this is a highly collectible I don't know if you want to call it a holy grail, but it certainly is one of the more difficult to find Power of the Force 2 figures in the line. And I've shown this a long time ago when my channel was very, very early and I was very, very awkward. I'm still awkward, folks, but I just stutter a lot less. But this is the freeze frame action slide on the US card. There is also a Canadian version of this with trilingual English, French, and Spanish. That one has also jumped up in price just over the last few years. But the US card is kind of the more desirable of the two. And I've had this one for a while. It's got the archival upgraded UV protection, and this is an 85 plus example. The card's got a 90, the blister an 85, and the figure a 90. So a really, really beautiful example of this one. And while I was looking up other first shots and kind of early stage prototypes for this Weequay, just checking out all the different face groups, some of which I mentioned in my Facebook buying video that just came out, I did find another example of this Weequay on the 1997 card on a square blister that was a kind of a salesman sample. And I'll show that right now. You can see down here, I'm going to put it right there. That one had the square blister. It was the earlier release for this Power of the Force 2 Weequay. That one was a salesman sample. It had kind of an alternate pipe color, a little bit brighter gold. And that one sold, it had a cracked blister, and yet it still sold for over $700. So very, very expensive to find those early prototype carded samples where they have kind of alternate paint schemes and things like that. But a really nice addition, and it's cool to have the Bosk Power of the Force 2 along with the retail figure, and now I've got the Weequay with the freeze frame action slide version of Weequay. I am going to be sending this one into Collector Archive for grading, but I wanted to hold off doing so until after our podcast because I figured we might want to talk about this little bad boy. But typically, these Power of the Force 2 prototypes, first shots, engineering samples, whatever you want to call them, they've gone up in value quite a bit over the years. But this one was a very fair price, I think mainly because it didn't have the accessories like you see with my other two examples. But let's cut right now to the other first shot prototype that I found. And here is that other Power of the Force 2 Weequay that was a prototype that was non-sonic welded, and it included the first shot accessories. It looks really great. This one sold in Deal or No Deal, I believe, several months ago, and it ended up selling for quite a bit, mainly because of the first shot accessories. But what I've noticed with a lot of modern prototypes is that many of the heavy hitter collectors tend to avoid the non-sonic welded figures for whatever reason. I think because of displayability and because they can fall apart so easily. I have seen a lot of non-sonic welded figures with tape around the hip to prevent them from falling apart. But in general, it seems like most collectors tend to prefer the first shot prototypes that are already sonically welded. So that about wraps up this video. I hope that you will join us on the podcast with Collector Archive Services. As I mentioned, the links for the podcast on different platforms are in the description for this video, and I will be back soon. Be sure to like and subscribe. Talk to you soon.